Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home. From remodeling contractor Danny Lipford and the home improvement pros from Today's Homeowner magazine.
Well, the demolition has started on this week's remodeling project that involves removing everything in this small master bathroom and expanding the entire area out into this little dressing room. Now, we'll be constructing a wall right along here to relocate all of the closets to this end of the room. Then the rest of the area will be for that master bathroom. Now, if you're experiencing some of the same problems that these homeowners are experiencing, where they just can't get hot water to their sinks quick enough, well, we'll show you a few methods that can drastically improve that situation. And as always, our simple solution, around the yard, and best new product segments are all in this week's show. So don't go anywhere. Now you can see the demolition has really progressed on this bathroom renovation. Now they started out with the removal of all of the fixtures in the bathroom and the trim, the doors, and they've removed all of the drywall from all of the walls. Now the ceramic that we were dealing with here and the existing bathroom had a lot of it because it had it halfway up the wall, had it on the floor, and a fairly good-sized shower stall in this area. It was the old-fashioned type of ceramic laid in a mortar bed, so it was fairly difficult to remove. It came down in very small pieces, but because of it being in small pieces, they were able to hand it out of the small window, and that allowed us to reduce the traffic significantly walking back through the existing house. Now, we also removed a section of ceiling right in here, and when we did, we realized that the ceiling joists from both sides of the room are resting right on this wall. So in order to remove this wall, we're going to have to install a beam running from one wall to the other to support the load of the ceiling joist and the roof rafters right on top of this wall. It's not a real big deal, but once all of the walls are removed, this room will start resembling our finished floor plan. Now you can see how the bathroom will end up being with the closet down on this end, new wall that we'll build here, then a double lavatory on this side of the room, and the toilet being relocated right in the corner. Then our 6-foot tub will be positioned over where the shower is presently positioned. Now this house is about 28 years old, and all of the ceramic we're taking out is just as old. And so many times when we're removing ceramic, particularly in bathroom areas, we find problems just like we're finding here, where apparently the shower stall leaked and caused a good bit of water damage to take place on the framing on this wall. Then the termites showed up, and they really caused some damage on the studs, continuing all the way up, even way up in here, a lot of damage, but it appears to be isolated to this one spot on the wall. Now we'll call the exterminators who have the bond on the house to document this area and go ahead and provide some treatment for this area before we replace all of the wood. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show about how these homeowners are having probably some of the same problems you may be having in your bathroom, being so frustrated, having to wait so long for hot water to get to your shower or your sink. Now, there's several methods to improve this situation, including one as simple as insulating your hot water lines from your water heater to the point of usage. Another way is to provide another water heater close by, maybe tucked under the vanity, so that you get the instant hot water. But another system that's become very popular is a hot water recirculation system. And recently we were taping some shows in Seattle, Washington, and we spoke with a manufacturer that handles this type of system. I'm with Gary Rickard, and Gary, tell our viewers exactly what is a hot water recirculation system.
Well, Danny, a hot water recirculation system is where you have the hot water line going out and supplying all the fixtures in the house, and at the farthest fixture you bring back a return line which tees into the cold water line. You then install a circulator, and it circulates water around to all the fixtures so that when you turn on the tap you instantly have hot water.
Okay, well the installation of the pump seems relatively easy, just a little bit of soldering there, and that's about all that is to it.
Yeah, this particular pump was designed specifically for this application. It has a built-in check valve, a timer, and an aquastat. The timer allows you to set the pump to which times of the day you want hot water, and the aquastat is on the line so that it senses the temperature of the hot water in the return line and will shut the pump off when the hot water is the right temperature.
Okay, all right, so installation cost, I guess, would vary from site to site, and of course on new homes would be much less than other retrofit situations, but you know, when you have a house like this where you have a nice wide open basement, it's fairly easy installation, but what about overall cost with materials and labor involved?
Well, including the pump and the return line, typical installation would run about $500.
Okay, all right. Well, not only are you solving the problem of that aggravating wait for water or hot water from a kitchen sink or a vanity, you're also saving a little water, aren't you?
Well, absolutely. As you know, some places you can wait 30 seconds to several minutes for hot water to appear at your hot water line, and that's just water going down the drain. If you figure you have about 2.5 gallons of water in that supply line and you're drawing it about 4 times a day, that's about 10 gallons of water down the drain. Multiply that by 365 days a year and you're looking at 3,000 gallons of water.
Well, it really wouldn't take long then to pay for the installation cost of this.
No, absolutely not. With the energy cost of the extra running of the hot water heater, the $20 or so it costs in electricity to run the pump a year, the water that you save would more than offset those costs.
Well, I can think of a number of homeowners that could really use this system. Now that system seems like a perfect solution for the problems these homeowners are having. Now speaking of solutions, here's our simple solution of the week.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine repair and maintenance editor Joe Truini show you this week's simple solution. Brought to you by Dodge.
You know, as a remodeling contractor, I end up with a lot of good stuff that homeowners just don't want anymore, like these closet brackets that we recently removed from a closet renovation job. But Joe's found a way to utilize these to help organize this garage.
In this case, Danny, we're going to be using these closet brackets to store bicycle. Now, typically in a garage, people will take a bicycle and hang it from the ceiling, which is great for long-term storage. But if you're using the bicycle every day, it's really not practical to reach up and hang it from the ceiling. So what we're going to do is we're going to reuse these old brackets to hang the bicycle from the wall at a really convenient height. All I've done is driven in a couple of 1 5/8 inch long drywall screws right into the wall studs. In this case, they're spaced about 16 inches apart. And then you just hang the bike from its crossbar right on the brackets. If you can grab that bike for me. Now this only works with bikes with crossbars, but as you can see, it's really easy to put it on and take it off. And you don't have to worry about it falling over and hitting your car every time you drive in.
And I guess if you wanted to pad those out just a little bit, you could use, say, some weather stripping, foam weather stripping with the adhesive back, and just place it there behind it, and it'll nestle right in there.
That'll work, and what else works well is when you get your bicycle tire change, take the old inner tube and cut about a 6-inch long piece and just slip it onto the hooks. And then when you put the bike on, you prevent any scratches.
And also maybe a shelf up here for the gear or helmet, air pump, something like that works perfect.
Yep, a nice 1 by 10 will screw right to it.
Well, it's great when we can find a new use for something old like these shelf brackets. Now, when you're remodeling a bathroom in an existing house, you really have to move along fairly quickly. And in a little over a week and a half, the guys have gotten to the point where the cabinets are being installed. Now, this family of 4 has been sharing just one bathroom, so they're real anxious for this project to be complete. Now, over the last week, we've been able to see the completion of the trenching of the concrete slab that had to be done to accommodate the plumber's drains and water lines to relocate some of the plumbing fixtures. Then concrete was mixed and poured into the trenches to level out. Now, I mentioned earlier about the beam that would have to be installed to support the load of the ceiling joists that were resting on the wall we were to remove. Now, a good bit of cutting, nailing, and joist hangers were needed to complete this. Next, we brought in our heating and cooling contractor to relocate the ductwork, and our cultured marble 6-foot tub was put into place. Now, the critical path on a bathroom renovation is very important. The path, or the order in which work progresses, can always present a challenge in scheduling everybody necessary to do their work before the walls go up. Now, a good example of that is the large tub that we installed. Because the tub had to sit on the floor and the flange extended all the way over actually against the studs, it had to be in place before the drywall was installed. Of course, we have it covered up with some plywood and a little bit of leftover insulation just to protect it during the rest of the project. Now, other place we installed insulation is actually where it belongs, in all of the walls and in the ceiling area. Now the wall between the bathroom and the bedroom also received insulation so that we could provide soundproofing between the two areas. Now after all of that was complete, it was time to install over 12 sheets of drywall on the walls and ceiling. Our installer installed it in a very short amount of time and started on his taping and the finishing of all of the drywall. Next, after that, it was time to install all of the cabinets. Now the cabinets being used here in this bathroom were made at a cabinet shop, sanded and painted prior to them arriving on the job. They started the installation by installing the toilet topper cabinet on the wall above the future toilet, and now this will provide plenty of storage for towels, toilet paper, and other items. Next, the two vanity base cabinets were screwed to the wall, and a drawer section was positioned between the two vanity cabinets. Now this will create a knee space area so that the homeowners can sit down and apply that makeup. Now we dropped the drawer section down a few inches from the base cabinets, which will create a need to have 3 separate countertop sections. Now from a design standpoint, this will look a lot better instead of just one long piece of countertop. And even though we dropped it down, there's still plenty of room with 25 inches in height and 24 inches in width for a knee space. Now the next task for the cabinet crew is the installation of the recessed medicine cabinet. After using a small level to draw off the lines for the opening, he used a drywall saw to cut out the wall section. Then the medicine cabinet that matches all the other cabinets in the bathroom was screwed into place. Now you can see a lot of thought has been given to providing enough storage space in this bathroom. With the toilet topper, the large vanity, and the recessed cabinet, all will contribute to the storage in this area, but in the master closet, there's even more. Now, one of the things we like to use in closets is a composite shelving like this. It's 16 inches wide and available in lengths up to 16 feet. It's very smooth, has a smooth edge band on it, and when you prime and paint it, it really finishes out nice. But what we like about it is it's so versatile in what you can construct. This simple little shelving unit starts out with more narrow shelving here in terms of the space between the shelving, and then kind of progresses up. And this is perfect space for shoes or sweaters or blankets, almost anything. We also use the same 16-inch shelving to go around the top of the closet, giving some good space there so that you can tuck other storage items up out of the way. Then as far as the rod space, we're creating a double rod here. This one's about at 3.5 feet and at 7 feet. The rods will run all the way down, and on the other end we have a single rod there so that we're fully utilizing every square inch we have in this walk-in closet. Now stay with us. We'll show you even more of this bathroom as we progress along right after this best new product.
It's time to check out this week's best new product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
If you're thinking of remodeling your kitchen, one of the things you need to consider is proper ventilation over your stove. Now in the past, to get that proper ventilation has been very noisy.
Boy, not only noisy, Danny, but there are a lot of other complaints about range hoods as well. That's why Brown-Newtone decided to really kind of reinvent the category, and they came up with the Allure series. There's Allure 1, 2, and 3. This is Allure 1.
I love the way the sleek design here on the corners, instead of having those little 90-degree corners, a lot more attractive.
Yeah, it sure is, Danny. They also, the noise you talked about, on this one there's a 2-speed fan, and even at the high speed, it is not obnoxious and noisy like it used to be.
Okay, what about the problem in lighting? No range hood really has sufficient light.
I was about to get to that. They've, instead of one little light in the center, used 2 halogen bulbs here and here, and you can see it spreads that light all the way back to the back burners. Really, really works well. Even has a low light you can even use as a night light.
That's a great idea. Now what about keeping this thing clean? I've seen a lot of them in remodeling projects I've done that are just gooey messes.
Dripping with grease. Here, bring this up. This is the Allure 3, and on the Allure 2 and 3, once you remove the screens, you can see this is a whole sealed area, and it's covered with Silverstone, which means it's very, very wipeable. You can just clean that grease out of there, and you're done. It also is shaped so that it forces air into the fan, and it develops 250 cubic feet per minute. That's a wind going out of here, taking the grease and the odors and all that moisture that is a problem in today's tight houses.
Now the 3 different Allure models are available, starting at $160, running up to about $400. Now the critical path we mentioned earlier in the show is working great. Our ceramic tile installer has been here, he's installed the tile, grouted everything, and allowed it to dry for about a day, which is just in time because our electrician and countertop installers will be out on the job today to complete all of their work. Now ceramic tile is probably the most popular floor we're using in bathrooms today, and recently we talked with a ceramic tile expert about how to choose the right ceramic tile for your job. Now Tom, I know it used to be when homeowners would come into your shop, you'd have to show them a certain tile for the floor, a certain tile for the wall, but things have changed a lot, haven't they?
Danny, they've changed quite a bit, really, because at one time that's all you had. This was for the floor, this was for the wall. Now with the technology and glazes, you can use it on the wall or on the floor. In fact, floor tile is being used consistently more on the wall than it has ever been.
Okay.
And it can easily.
Okay. And what about the grouts? Have they improved any over the years?
Grouts have. At one time you started off with a grout, which was sand, cement, and a pigment. That was all it was. Now you have, in the 80s, I'd say maybe the early 90s, you had grouts with same contents, but they added a liquid latex. That was a little bit difficult. Liquid latex and water and so forth, and you had to mix them. Now they have a powdered latex. You mix it with water, works fine.
Oh, that's great. Now, our viewers always are interested in trends. Now, what's happening in the ceramic world, and what are homeowners asking you for more than anything?
It's mostly size. Nowadays, when we first started, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, 8 by 8 was the big thing. Went to 12 by 12. 12 by 12 is still popular, but we've gone to 16 by 16, 18 by 18. And I understand there's 24 by 24 on its way.
I wouldn't be surprised, you know, with the large floor plans, wide open areas, you know, we're removing those walls between the kitchen and the breakfast room and the dens. It just makes sense for the tile to get larger and have fewer grout joints.
That's right. And the less grout joints, the more tile you have, better usage.
That's great. Hey, great information, Tom. Thanks a lot. And stay with us. Next, our Around the Yard.
Now let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Barbara Katz. Brought to you by Scott's Lawn Products for a great lawn, guaranteed.
Well, this is what I had in mind in terms of the little flower bed here on the end of the yard. You know, it needs something in front of these grasses to kind of spice it up a little bit on this end of the yard.
Oh, Danny, I think this will be a beautiful corner if you can plant it up real lushly and we can get a good strong edge on this bed.
Okay, well, I have my garden hose out, but I'm not real sure it's nice and straight here. I bet you have a trick for us on that.
This is a great start. This is the way you can start with any kind of bed, but you can actually get a little bit more precise if you start to use tapes and something like this, which is a gutter spike. Now, you can use anything that you can find, but what I do is I just simply put it in the middle of my tape and I'll find a center point. And this is not precise. I mean, you might have to move it around a couple times before you find the perfect center for this. But I'm thinking it's going to be maybe 9, maybe 10 feet. Let's see what that looks like. All right, I think we've got it.
Okay.
And I'm going to use my marking paint and we'll get a perfect curve on it.
Okay, I need to take the hose up then.
Now, I like to use white paint because the utility companies will probably use some kind of an orange or yellow, and there's no conflict when you just use the white. And the other thing, Danny, is that this paint doesn't hurt the grass.
Well, that's great. I mean, a nice radius, good and clean. I never thought I'd say this, but hey, I'm ready to start digging. Now, one of the things we like to do here on Today's Homeowner is when we start a project, we want to show you the completion before the end of the show. And when we started this bathroom renovation, we started with a very small bathroom, very out of date, and poor use of the space that's available. I think you'll like the way it's turned out. The homeowners really wanted a tub in their bathroom. Well, they got a nice 6-foot unit with a shower head. They wanted plenty of storage. We handled that with a toilet topper cabinet and a 7-foot vanity cabinet. Also, we created an efficient closet with shelving and lots of closet rods. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope we'll see you next week here on Today's Homeowner. I'm Danny Lipford. See you then.